And, people freaking out about a lot of the changes, but I've got 3 of the best on here, and we're just excited to pick their brain about the buyer consultation. I've always been a proponent that the buyer consultation is just like the listing consultation, so I've always trained my agents that way. We're not like, go out, see the house, and then try to earn the business. We really like to get the clients back. So before we get started, I'm going to have everybody introduce themselves. So I'll start with Mr. Jason. Oh, you're mic'd. He's mic'd. Look at that. You're prepared.
So my name is Jason Kay. Started in real estate just over a decade ago. My background is mechanical engineering and product development, which is an excellent background on how to do this. My wife had a thriving business, and it was come deal with all the stuff I don't want to, which was buyers. So I literally took her listing presentation and went, this is a lot better than what you have. Let's play with this. And that's how I started. So yeah, if I can do this, anyone in the room can do this because I literally learned everything.
Hey, John Gletch. I live in San Diego. I run a team in San Diego and a team in Phoenix, sold thousands of houses, and we've been doing buyer agreements for a lot of years and doing buyer agreements at higher than the market rate. We were selling houses and charging 3.5% 10 years ago. So it's something we've done a lot of, and my goal today, and I think all of our goals, is to give you guys really specific, actionable takeaways. So get your note takers ready, and hopefully we can give you some great value today.
And my name is Lonnie. I'm from Tacoma, Washington, the real Washington State. Thank you so very much for giving me that shout out. I appreciate it. Not sure who you are, but thank you. Yes.
Go, Lonnie, go.
And so I have been in the industry for 11 and a half years. And out of those 11 and a half years, I've been doing buyer consultations for 11 years. I learned really early on that a handshake is not just a handshake with some people. And because of that, after showing multiple properties for very many months and having another agent write it up, taught me to put a buyer agency in place and to, like John said, increase my commission, which allows me to get more money doing the same amount of work that you guys are doing, that you guys are charging for less.
Love it, love it. And I'm Tina Call, 24 years in the business, 130 homes a year.
I did not receive that round of. Did you guys get a round of applause?
No.
I don't remember.
I paid them all to do that. I
happen
paid
when
them all.
You
guys,
did good.
after. Yep, I'll Venmo you after. Okay, and so worked with buyers, 50 buyers a year, 70 listings. Love buyers, but they didn't scale for me, so I ended up becoming a listing agent. But today, I'm going to help moderate and get the rock star answers out of these people and make them look really, really good. So I'm excited to be here. Okay, let's get to the first one. So we talked about buyer consultation. So what skills are needed? We've got lots of different levels of agents in here. What skills are needed to nail that buyer consultation?
So for me, the first part of that was 2 basic skills that every agent should have, or anyone who's in sales for that matter. The first is NLP, or neuro-linguistic programming. I took an 18-week course, got so much out of it. I redid my notes, re-listened to the recordings, redid the homework. I mean, I literally took the course twice, back to back. Then I took it again with the same teacher, because now I'm having more questions. The second piece is DISC. Anyone here know what DISC is? All right, most of the room, that's cool. Briefly, for those of you who don't know what the DISC is, it's behavioral profiles. Notice not personality. The point is, if someone's a really high D or a really high I, you need to talk to them in their language, otherwise they won't hear you. You only need to do it for a few minutes, but that's super key. After that, this is how you start to get into rapport. Everyone's, I'm sure, here heard about what rapport is. Yeah? Okay, and you need to do it? I had no idea what rapport was when I first started as an agent, and I did everything wrong. So again, if I could learn it, it's a learned skill. I was in a market where no one got the buyer agency agreement signed, ever, unless they had a contract. And I just started getting it signed because I was told you need to do it when I was in class, getting licensed. I'm like, okay, and someone's like, what are you doing? So these are things that you basically do, and you can do it anywhere. I'm now in Colorado. Colorado's a weird state. I won't get into the laws behind it, but we actually have a contract that has, this is how you do it and this is how you get paid. It's been there for 6 years, at least, maybe longer. But this is how you go about doing it, and it's all building blocks, and then it all feeds onto itself. So as you're going through the buyer consult, if you nail that, you're gonna get the buyer agency signed without question.
Love it, love it. So you talked a little bit about rapport. I'm gonna move over to you, John. How do you build or teach your agents to build rapport really quickly with a buyer at a consult?
That people like to talk, so I think just the more you can have a conversation and listen. I on my team am the first person typically to talk to people on the phone, and what I'm doing is following a super simple script I'll give you guys right now, which is just when you first start having a conversation with someone, like let's say it's a sign call or an open house. What you're trying to figure out is what they're looking for in a house. That's sort of the first thing, because it's neutral. It's them talking about what matters to them. So if they call on a house for sale, like a sign call, hey, how much is the price of 123 Main Street? My answer is always, hey, let me look that up. We have a lot of listings. Let me take a look. How much are you looking to spend on a house? I'm instantly turning it back to what is their preference? Because maybe this house is 500 grand more than they can spend. And I immediately want to pivot, if that's the case, to, I've got a few in mind that are right in that price range. The same thing at an open house. Our scripting for open houses is you have people look around the home and, hey, take a look at the property. Be sure, please, before you leave, just let me know what you think of the house. The seller really would love some feedback. And our question as they leave the house is, hey, what'd you think of the house? On a scale of 1 to 10, how close is this to a house that you'd make an offer on? And their offer typically is 5 or 6 or whatever. And then you'd say, well, what would make it a 10? And that answer is their wish list of all the things they're looking for in a home. So I'm always trying to get at, tell me what kind of house you want. And so in terms of rapport building, it's just a matter of let them talk, focus on what they want, which is houses. Buyers want houses, not realtors. They would do it without us if they could. So I'm always talking about the houses, not about me, until it becomes where I need to, right? Until we get to a buyer presentation. But at the very beginning, let's talk about houses and all the great houses that you know about that would fit their criteria. And hey, I'll tell you what, I got a few in mind right now. Do you have a little time later today to go take a look at those properties? So for me, rapport building is all about focusing on the houses and focusing specifically on what kind of house they want.
Yeah, or that one specific thing that they need in a house. Yesterday, Minda was talking about a buyer that she had met, and the buyer said, I'm interviewing 3 of you, I'm going to take you out into the field, and then I'm going to go with the person that I feel most connected to. And Minda picked up on they were looking at a specific school district, and instead of asking about the house, it was a school district, so she found a past client that could get them into the school because it was capped, and she ended up winning the deal because she worked a little extra hard. Yeah, so I love that. Lonnie, what mistakes should an agent avoid making as a new agent buyer consultation?
Yeah, how many of you guys, first of all, are in here are newer agents? Raise your hand.
Like under 3 years.
Okay.
Okay.
So about half of you guys.
Great.
So the other half of you guys are trying to figure out how to get buyer agency agreements signed. Is that correct? Raise your hand. Only a couple of you guys. Fantastic. I'm going to only speak to a couple of you guys. You go right there specifically. All right. So the first thing is the mistake I see that most agents make, whether new, veteran, seasoned, whatever the case may be, is that they don't set the expectation that this is a two-way interview, okay? And the reason why you should be starting that off is because it takes away all the power that they think they have over you, right? And it puts it at a neutral stance, right? Being able to set very clear expectations. When you're starting a consultation, most agents, the mistake that you guys make is that you jump straight into what is it that you're looking for, how can I get the house, and show you right away. Now, that's not how you should be starting it. A very good consultation is going to start off by setting clear expectations, fully understanding what it is that that client is looking for. So understanding their lifestyle needs, their budget, and their must-haves, which really means you need to really listen, right? And that's what Melinda did, was she was listening, not specifically to the house, but the needs of the family, right? And so when you can do that, you can pick up on those little details that's going to set you apart from another agent. And when you can fully understand that, now you can set a very clear strategy together on how do you encompass all of this together and get a clear roadmap to get to the finish line. The other thing is you also want to talk about pre-qualification, what the market is doing, and how are you going to have these hard discussions as far as commission and feasibly timing and multiple offer situations depending on the market and the timing of when they're going to be looking. So that's the biggest mistakes I see.
I love that. I love that. It is amazing. Okay, so we're going to shift now and pivot to my favorite subject, which is scripts and dialogue. So I'm going to start with you, John, because I think you're really great at scripts and just everything you do with the buyers. So who wants to make more money and charge 3.5%, 4% commission? Yes. John's going to teach us, walk us through how you explain the commission structure, because you said you've been doing it for 10 years.
Yeah, so it depends. There's two different times now where we have to talk about our fee, right? So depending on how the lead works, but if it's a lead that you are showing a house to before you've had done a presentation, which I think a lot of agents are needing to do, if it's a sign call, if it's an open house lead, if it's a Zillow lead, if you're really good on the phone, you might be able to get that person to meet with you before you show the house, or if they're a really agreeable person, and that's a great goal. But I want to be realistic. It's often difficult if someone calls you and says, "Hey, can I see this house?" You go, "Yeah, let's just sit down, at the Panera Bread nearby, and I'll walk you through an hour-long presentation. I'll have you sign a contract, and then I'm happy to show you that house." I'm not saying you can't do that, and it's a great goal if you're good, but a lot of people are newer in the room, and so back to the rapport idea, my suggestion would be give them what they want, show them the house, right? So at that point, what you're gonna do, and the way we handle it is, if we're on the phone with the person, we'll say, "Hey, so have you heard about how the commission lawsuit happened recently?" Or something like, "What have you heard about real estate commissions?" Something along those lines, after I've booked the appointment. "Hey, I want to see 123 Main Street. Great. How's today at 3 o'clock work? Great. Okay, I'll see you there. Hey, have you heard about the NAR lawsuit and what that's done in terms of real estate commissions?" And most people say no, or I don't know, or I kind of heard of something, or whatever. Yeah, hey, it's really, everything's kind of the same. The real big change that came out of that is that we now are required to get a contract signed before we can actually show the property. It's only one page, it's super simple, it doesn't obligate you to buy a property, but we do need to get it signed before we show you the home. Would you rather have me email that over now, or do you want me to just bring it and I'll go over to it in front of the house with you? And most people go, "I just bring it." But if they want you to email it, fine. And what I don't want to do is just surprise them, right? I just show up at the house, now we're in the driveway, and they didn't know anything about this, right? That feels like a weird way to start the relationship. So assuming now I'm in front of the house and I'm showing them the property, what we do is we pull out the EXP buyer agent agreement, which is fantastic, super short, super easy. And we just have it pre-filled with 3%, which is what most of my agents are charging. If it was me, it would be 3.5%. And they're just walking through the agreement. And the most important parts of that agreement to understand are the cancellation, which is like section 9 on that agreement. And you're pointing out to the buyer, "Hey, this is an agreement that explains that we get paid 3% of the purchase price of the home. That's only if we actually sell you this property. It works out great. You love the house. It's a perfect house for you." And what we most often can do is get the sellers to pay for that. Now, this agreement you'll see right here on section 9 is totally cancelable. So if at any point you're not loving working with me, and I don't actually help you buy this particular home that I'm about to show you, you can cancel this agreement at any time. So that's a long answer, but the main focus is this is a cancelable agreement, and I only get paid if I sell you this house. Because all I'm trying to do is get in the house. That way I can do my thing. I can build some rapport. I can add value. I can, hey, point out some things, whatever. So I'm just making it super simple, super casual. And then we created a one-page agreement that we call our commitment to excellence. And it's a page of all the great, awesome stuff we do for our buyers. And if you want, you can DM me on Instagram. It's just john.glutch, and I'll send you that agreement. And only I sign that. So that, and I tell them that. I said, "Hey, and this is our commitment to excellence." So all the other real estate agents in town, they're going to give you an agreement just like this, but we want to do a lot more than what most agents do. And so this is my commitment to excellence. This is something you can review later, and I've signed that right here, and I just give that to them. And so it's a sales page is what it is, basically. So long answer, but it's kind of a complicated time we're in, right?
I love that. I mean, that was good, right? Absolutely. I mean, I think they do want to get to the house, so you're not having that barrier. We shifted a little bit with our seasoned agents, and we want to come in for the consult. But I love that, and I think that's very, very helpful. Yeah. So thank you, John. You're great at that, and he will send you that loyalty agreement.
Yeah, just DM me, and I'm happy to send it to you. Yeah.
He's awesome. He's awesome. All right, so we're going to shift to you two about some of the language that you use. Let's see, what did we talk about? Highlighting your value to first-time home buyers. Like, why choose you versus another agent? What is the value of using you to a new home buyer?
Great question. Probably about a quarter of my buyers are first-time buyers. Absolutely love them because they have no bad habits and no expectations. So for me, it all starts off with a phone call. Depending on their disc personality, if I'm dealing with a high D driver, kind of bull in a china shop, as my wife likes to say. I have 5 minutes on this call, and it's here, let's set the next appointment, I'll give you the info, let's go. Everyone else, it can be anywhere between a 15-minute to a half-hour conversation. My wife thought I was not being efficient with my time when I was doing this. On the contrary, I was getting a 90+% conversion ratio by doing it. So this was the beginning of the rapport. So at the end of the call, and I'm finding out, what are you looking for in the house? What type of school system do you want? What do you guys do for a living? And the reason why I ask that is because I'm trying to learn their disc profile and get into rapport with them as quickly as possible. This is beyond mirror and matching. Now, the next piece with this is going into the actual consult. I have something that John just talked about. That's my page 3. I spend half of my time on this out of an hour-and-a-half consult. This is setting expectations. Super, super important. Where you're going from that is that all starts bringing out what is your value proposition, because it's not about me, it's about what they need. So sometimes I even ask, hey, what are you looking for? What do you need out of me? And just by asking that one question, they're like, what? What do you mean? I go, I can do a lot, but what do you need? And like, oh, well, I had an agent before I really didn't like, they did this and this. I go, okay, so what do you want me to do to fix that for you? Do you want me to do this or that? And that starts the conversation. And all of a sudden, anyone who's like, I don't want to sign goes, oh, wow, you're great. And depending right then and there, I may actually pull out the buyer agency and go, all right, great, fantastic. I feel like we have this bond. This is how I work with you. And I use the Colorado form that changes every year, but really hasn't changed a whole bunch. And literally, page 3, there's a section and it goes, seller may pay, buyer must pay. I go, this is how this works. And I literally step through the contract with them. And I tell them it's a contract. By the way, it is cancelable at any time, just like what John said. And then I say, this is how it works. And by the way, you can hire a discount broker for discount services for less money. However, what are you looking for? Are you looking to save thousands or tens of thousands of dollars or have an easier transaction? And I will bring up what they told me before and what they want in their value. And that's how I do it.
I love that. That's really great. That's a great takeaway. So can you add anything to this, to what these guys said, as far as like working with an experienced buyer versus a first-time home buyer? Do you take the same approach and go really step by step, or do you do something different?
Honestly, whether it's a first-time home buyer, an experienced buyer, my method and my verbiage doesn't really change. What's going to change is how I start my consultation. So if it's somebody that's newer, I already know I'm going to ask them the same question as my seasoned buyers, and like, what is it that you know about the home buying process, right? And so then I know what they know based off of that. Or they can say like, you know what, yes, we bought a house before, but it was a really bad experience. I had no idea what was going on. I felt left in the dark. Now I know right away one of their pain points, and now how I need to approach them to make it a win for both of us, right? I think the key component is that regardless of the experience of the home buying process, every client wants to feel like they're being listened to, that there's respect, that there's clear communication, that they feel informed, empowered, and then fully supported throughout the process, right? And I think that's the biggest difference.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love that.
What Ronnie said.
Yeah, yeah, she's great. I mean, and we're going to also leave 10, 12 minutes at the end for questions, because we usually have a lot of questions moving forward to make sure we get those answered. So let's move on to the flow of the consultation. So I don't know who wants to take this, but what are the steps that you guys have, like, through your consultations? Obviously, you're saying let's meet them at the door, let's build rapport. I don't know if you're taking a consultative approach, so whoever wants to take that, as far as steps that you guys can help them with, because I've heard agents do it all different ways. So what are the ways that work for you guys?
I think we always want to lead to, at some point, we're going to do a buyer presentation. Mm-hmm. And I like doing them on Zoom because it's just, they're in some quiet place in front of their computer, you're in some quiet place in front of yours, you can screen share, it's a controlled environment. So I love doing them that way. I live in San Diego and I sell houses in Phoenix. And so I'm always doing Zoom consultations because I don't live in the state where they're going to buy a house. So I prefer it for that reason. I also just think it's a much better controlled, better experience. So I love doing the Zoom. And at some point when you get to that process, Darren Hardy taught me this, and it was super helpful. Like, you want to have a presentation. Like, you should have a full-blown slide deck that you know inside and out. Use somebody's. If EXP has one that you love, great. You can use mine. I'm happy to give you mine. But just have a good one that you like and that you know really well. And then realize that you are not going to present anything. So you have a presentation, but you're not a presenter. You're having a conversation. And so my first 3 slides of my presentation are questions. And it's just like similar to what you guys are talking about. Have you ever bought a home before? How was that experience? What are your top 3 expectations of a real estate agent? What are you looking for in a home? All those you're just getting questions, and they will give you all their answers, which will help you know what to focus on and what you don't need to bother with. One of the first questions I ask is, how much time do you have today? Would you have a deadline we need to worry about? I also ask, hey, I got a lot of stuff to talk about here. I could talk about this for hours. I've been doing this 20 years. But I know not everyone is interested in talking about real estate for hours here. So I've got a short, a medium, and a long version of this. Which one would you prefer? And whatever they say, I'm going to tailor the presentation to that time frame. So I'd say big picture, principle-wise, because I don't have like a slide deck I can show you exactly what I do, is have a great presentation, but make it very conversational. If you're talking for more than 2 minutes at a time, you're talking too much. Like they should be doing a lot of the talking.
I love that.
What he said, yeah.
And I think to add on to that is, at some point in time, you have to agree whether you guys want to work together, right? And you really have to understand and align, because if you're not a good fit, trust me, I'm not gonna work with you, and I'm gonna refer you to maybe Jay, who might be better at, the D component of things, where I just don't wanna deal with that, because I wanna have more fun and join John on the yacht that he's gonna go to, right?
Let's go.
He's out of here at 3:45.
And like the biggest thing I think is really dependent on where you're meeting these clients, right? Is it a sign call? Are they coming into a home buyers class? Or did you meet them at an open house, right? How are you meeting these clients to say, how should I set up this Zoom or this consultation? And I'm with John, I'm all about the Zooms, right? Because they're gonna be at a place where they feel most comfortable. And when they feel most comfortable, that means their guard is down, right? And when you feel and you start building that rapport, like one of the first questions I ask is, how easy was it for you to get on this Zoom, right? When I'm talking to them and I'm actually setting the appointment, are you the only person that I should be talking to, or do you have a partner, a husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, mother, father, that's gonna be buying a house with you? And are they gonna have a decision-making impact on whatever house we choose to write up? And if that's a yes, fantastic. When are you both available, so that way I can sit with you on a Zoom? Because I don't want to play telephone, and I don't want you to play telephone, because not all of the information always comes out clear when I'm only telling half the story to one person, right? Because only half the story gets over there. Does that make sense, you guys?
Absolutely.
One thing I've been doing too lately is I figured out, we're in this Amazon world where you can get something delivered to your house in a couple hours. And so I've started now, like the minute I have a conversation with someone, whether it's at an open house or whether it's a sign call or whatever, but maybe it's a referral and they called me and they want to have an appointment with me, I'm going to get some information about what they want in a house, and then I'm going to send them houses right away and say, okay, between now and Thursday when we get on our Zoom, do me a huge favor and look at all, this is a first draft, I'm just ballparking it. I just want to get an idea, and then when we meet on the Zoom, what we're going to do is you're going to tell me all about what you loved and hated about those houses. And what this does is 2 things. One is it satisfies that immediate need they have for progress, right? Like we get a lot of people who call us, like they found us on Yelp or Google or whatever, and they called us looking to buy a house. And when I pick up that phone, the minute I hang up, they need to be getting progress right away. So getting listings in front of them does that. You would do the same thing after you met someone at an open house or at a sign call. Between now and the Zoom, have a look at those, and what we'll do on the Zoom is we're going to review your feedback on those properties. That's very safe feeling. You're not going to say, what we're going to do is sign a 20-page scary contract, and I'm going to tell you all about how you pay me, right? Just kind of review the properties, and then of course we walk them through the whole process. So that's been very helpful too.
I love it. I think the 3 of you, and I know our team as well, takes that consultative approach. We're not order takers, but lots of information, guiding them through. I love it. Okay, let's pivot to you. So when we're talking about a seller where their commission falls short, they're not offering the full compensation, which we're running into that a little bit. I don't know if you guys are, but I'll kick it over to you. What happens? How do you explain that to your buyer to add that value where they know they're going to pay?
It's all about setting expectations up front. So the very first part is before the NAR settlement came out, it was 1%, maybe 2% of the listings were not what I would receive as typical pay. And again, Colorado's not a normal state. It had this built in beforehand. So as I'm going through the contract and I'm literally walking them through going, hey, this is how the whole process works. Because up front it starts off with, have you ever bought a home before? Yes, no. I don't care what the answer is. Great. Have you ever bought a home before in Colorado, in Boulder? Yes, no. Great. Again, I don't care what the answer is. When was the last time you bought a home? I had a seller a couple years ago who whipped out her contract. It was 1 3/4 pages typewritten. Far cry from the 18 pages that we have right now, or 20 pages. You get the idea. So she's like, I know nothing. I'm like, okay, great. She's like, treat me like a first-time buyer. I'm like, seller, okay, I can do that. And the whole point is, we started to go through, what does this look like? What's important to you? How can I help you understand the process? And I've done this 11, 12 years now. I don't think I've ever done a buyer consult the same way twice, because it's not about me or my process. It's what do you need to do, and it's all about my clients. How can I help you? And if you have that shift in the mindset, the whole way I get the buyer agency and the consult started is, let me help you understand what the process is. Because going back to what Lonnie said earlier, if they don't want to know what the process is, I don't want to work with them, because we're going to be partners here for 1, 3, 6 months, sometimes 12 months. We're like, I just signed a lease and I'm not going to break it. It's like, okay. And that's what you got to do.
Any examples? That's a great answer. Any examples that you guys had recently where a seller didn't want to pay?
I have actually multiple examples. And so, like Jay said, it's all about setting the expectation in the buyer consultation on how you're going to get compensated. And so we look at this a couple different ways, right? I don't care if the seller is offering compensation or not. We're gonna still go look at the house if you like it. And the reason why is because I feel confident enough in the ability to negotiate my commission, whether my buyers can afford
You guys write
it
that down?
or
Write it
not,
down.
Fire right there.
right? Because here's the
That's what
thing,
you do.
one of the ways that I stick out that most people will not do is they will not show a house that's not offering any commission. Does that make sense? And for me, I don't care. I look at it as like a for sale by owner, okay? And if they happen to pay it, even better. Now, if they pay part of it, fantastic. Then we come up with a strategy like, all right, my first number one is to negotiate the commission with the seller directly, right? Or through the listing agent, whatever way I need to do it. Secondly is if seller says, I'm going to compensate X amount and there's a remaining amount of left, fantastic, we can do this one of two different ways. We can either increase the list price so that way it covers my commission, and now you don't have to worry about bringing cash to the table. Or if you have cash, I can write an addendum and we can put in whatever that amount is of that shortage and we're good to go, right? I think the biggest thing when you're having these types of discussion is one, feeling confident in your ability with the value that you bring to them. Do you hear what I said? The confidence and the value, because those two things are going to be key. Now, the very first time this happened, I was scared to death, okay? Scared to death, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it was a sweet old lady. I call her one of my silver lining clients. I flew out to Arizona to meet with her to do a buyer consultation. She was interviewing 3 different agents. I was the only one that flew from Washington to Arizona, right? Luckily, I was meeting with Neil, and so I was already out there for business, which already set me apart, right? I do my consultation. She's selling her house. She's going through a mourning process. Her late husband passed away, and she's looking to move closer to family. Now, most people would be like, oh my gosh, that's heart-wrenching, right? Which it is. But I also know that the money that I take home also feeds my family, okay? And I also know that the value that I bring. So when we wrote the offer, the seller only counted on one thing. And guess what that was? It was my commission, right? And my client, the amount of commission that my client had to compensate, like they came up a very tad, like a tad. And the listing agent was PO'd that I even asked for a higher commission, okay? And so when they countered, oh man, I had to get Deb on a Zoom, and that was a whole process itself, right? Because I think having these conversations face to face are really extremely important when you're talking about the biggest purchase that anybody's ever gonna make and the value that you're gonna bring to their life, okay? Get her on the Zoom, and I say, hey Deb, they accepted all of our terms except for one thing. She says, well, what's that? It's my commission. And she, like, within a half a second, not a problem, well, I'm just gonna pay it. I see everything that you do. You're freaking amazing. I love you. You're like family. Right? After that, I had no issue. I'm telling you guys, it's like the first step of anything. Just getting over that hurdle, having enough faith that you are confident and you have the value and you know what the hell you're doing. Right? Because you are in charge of one of the biggest purchases anybody will ever make, and it's up to you to really defend yourself, your family, but also your client, in ensuring that they are not buying a POS, right? And that you're putting them in a good home.
Yeah, that's really good.
I love that.
That's
I
great.
was going to have you just real quick just say, let's give her a round of applause for that. That's so good. So good. Yes, I love it. And really your value starts after the contract is signed. And I think worthiness is a big issue with a lot of agents, our worth. I'm going to give you an off-topic example of that, my own worth, right? You guys see us up here, 20 years in the business, whatever. Oh, look, they know what they're doing. Speaking. I had somebody that called and asked me to speak, and they're like, we'll pay you a fee. What's your fee? I'm like, I don't know. I always do this for free. And I was like, what do you usually pay people? And they said the amount. I was like, great. And I talked to a coach, and they're like, you're worth way more than that, way more than that. What is your hourly rate? You're not even charging your hourly rate. But because I didn't feel worthy enough, I didn't feel I had enough education, I don't feel worthy to accept that. So when you do feel worthy, and many of you are, that is our job. It is really hard to negotiate your own worth.
Yeah.
That's not the commission, it's your worth.
Yes.
So what is your value?
And you have to think,
Yeah.
like, you're spending time away from your family.
Absolutely.
Right? Or your loved ones, out on the road, showing homes, and what are you doing? If you're not charging what you're worth, then you're robbing your family and your bank account and then yourself as well.
Exactly.
Right?
And you would
So-
never get a free attorney, a free doctor. I mean, it's just, you're not going to get that.
Facts.
So add on to that. You had something to say.
Yeah, the game is one. So we're in this situation now where sellers and listing agents' egos are getting involved as it relates to how much a buyer's agent gets paid. Are you guys experiencing that? Yeah. So, and on the listing side, on my listings, I have these conversations with my sellers too, of like, hey, the buyer's agent's gonna collect a fee, and of course they should. Like, I do this during the listing presentation, and of course they should. They have, turns out, kids at home that also need to eat, and dogs that get pretty upset if they don't get fed, and lights that need to get paid, just like you and me. So of course we, as the seller, would be very happy to pay the buyer's agent any fee that they've negotiated with their buyer. All you care about at the end of the day is your net, right? How much you take home. And not every seller is gonna go, yeah. Now the good ones are gonna go, yeah, great. But some people are gonna be like, well, buyer's agents, they're gonna hem and haw about buyer's agents and how they get paid too much or whatever. At that point, you just go, okay, totally understood, got it. And you move forward. Now, when the time comes, and the point is the same on the inverse, when the time comes for that fee to get negotiated, it's all about getting the seller to understand what their net is. As the listing agent, and like, fight for the buyer's agent fee. If they're charging 3 or 2.5 or whatever, if you're a listing agent, like, no, we're not gonna counter that. What net do we need to be at? We're 10 grand below the net you need, got it. So we'll just counter the price up 10 grand. How about that? If you can net this, is that a number you can live with? And when push comes to shove, your sellers really do care about the net. Their ego about what a buyer's agent get paid is not as important to them as their net. Same thing is true when you're on the buy side. So your job as a buyer's agent is to communicate to the listing agent, hey, do me a favor. Do not send me over a counter, call me. Whatever number you guys, just figure out what you need your net to be. The only thing that's negotiable about this offer is the price. So the fees that I've asked for, if I'm asking for a buy down or I'm asking for my fee, whatever those fees are, please don't counter those, because that's gonna kill the deal. So just, if you need a higher price, we're open to that conversation. Just give me a call and let me know where we need to be before you send over. Can we agree on that? And most agents will do that. And if you can have a human-to-human conversation not all the time, but most of the time, you can get to a place where that counter comes over without removing your fees. But you've got to do a lot of work verbally on the phone with those listing agents to get them on board.
And did you guys hear what he said? As buyer's agents, you guys should be calling us on the phone, because I get so many offers, I'm sure you guys do too, where there's been absolutely no phone calls, and then somebody's texting you the next day like, I sent over an offer yesterday and it expired last night. Did you get it? And I'm like, what are you talking about? No, I didn't get it. What? It's like,
I'm busy.
yeah. So make sure you guys are doing that, because that communication is going to be really key on how you can set your buyers up for a win.
Yeah.
So just to finish on that, I've been in multiple bid situation 2-3 years ago during the COVID insanity. How many people took people out 10, 15, 20 times? I'm seeing hands up. Okay. So the whole point of this, I did something unexpected. I called the buyer, punted to voicemail. I texted them, hey, I've got a client interested. Besides a full offer price or over ask price, what are you guys looking for? What do you mean? Well, what are you looking for? A quick close, a late close? What can I do here to win the bid? 9 times out of 10, I was told what would make a winning bid. I was not the most expensive offer most of those times. I took my clients out once and got them under contract during that insanity. So what these guys said, super important. The other thing is, I want to go back to what Lonnie said. This is likely the most expensive thing that your clients are going to buy until they buy their next home. They are going to be very emotional. Know that. You're going to be, as my wife likes to say, the shock absorber. And she's been in the industry for a lot longer than I have. So the whole point here is let them know up front. So during the buyer consult, one of the things I do is, and this goes back to setting expectations, hey, listen, when we get to this point, this is what you should expect. And I do that in every step of the process. That's during the buyer consult. Then I remind them as we're getting to this, hey, just a reminder, we're making an offer. You're likely not to sleep when we make the offer or when it gets accepted. Now, I tell a story about me and my wife. We've bought 7, 8, 9 homes together. We still wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning. Oh, you can't sleep either? No, I can't. And I tell my clients this. And it's like, hey, don't we tell our clients this? Yeah. I call my clients the next day. Hey, how'd you sleep? Oh, you're right. We woke up at 3:30, couldn't go back to sleep, discussed what was going on. How do you feel about it? Great, let's keep going forward. Versus first time that this happened, they canceled on me.
I have my clients take a Tic Tac pill. I'm being so serious.
I love that.
And I have them do this because when you start feeling super anxiety, right? And you're like, oh my God, am I making a super big mistake? And you're like, they're not thinking rational. So like every time I say, like, when you guys start thinking like super crazy thoughts and like, you're like, am I doing the right thing? Am I making the right choice? I want you, like I prescribe them during my consultation. You need to go to the store, you need to get a package of Tic Tacs. And every time you start feeling anxiety or overwhelmed, I'm giving you permission to take a Tic Tac. And I literally have them do it because it's the physicality of taking something, right? To help them calm down. And then I want you to ask yourself, because we go through this in our consultation, what is the reason why you started this process? Okay? And when you can get yourself back down from here to here, when you take your Tic Tac and you ask yourself, why am I buying this? Well, I want more stability. I'm tired of paying rent. I want to live closer to my family. I just got married and I want to provide something for my family, right? Now you're thinking logically, and now you can deal with yourself.
Do you realize how, how people say this is like we're therapists? That is a behavioral science. When you're setting the expectation for this is how you're going to feel when you wake up and you feel these feelings, have a Tic Tac, call me, whatever it is. Then they go, oh yeah, Jason told me about that. Oh yeah, Lay told me about that. They know it. They know it because you've set the expectation. So we're going to open it. We literally have like 5 minutes now to open it up for questions. So who has a question here for this amazing panel? I'm gonna have you guys, this is gonna be uncomfortable for you, but we're gonna take like 2 or 3. So just line up right here. The first 3 people
Don't be
line
shy.
up.
Don't
And
be
I'm gonna
shy.
bring the microphone down. So come on down and meet me here and let's give them the mic. All right.
All right, rock and roll.
Go ahead, rock and roll.
Hi, when you're doing an open house, there's so many general questions you can ask, but how do you make that connection with somebody right away?
What are you looking for? Point blank. Hey, go look through the house. As they're starting to leave, hey, on a scale of 1 to 10, where's this house rate? Most of them are a 5, maybe a 7. Great, what are you looking for? I have a list printed of all the homes in the area. And it's like, oh, you just described 123 Main Street. Do you want me to show you that?
Yeah.
I get off at 3 o'clock.
The other thing is, don't try to sell the house. You walk into an open house, they're like, have you seen the bedroom and the bath and the whatever? And your job is not to sell the house. Your job is to make them feel known, heard, listen to, you talking to them.
And be honest about the house. If it's if the layout is crap, say, you know what, this layout is not the best, right? And be honest, because when you're being honest, it's gonna build trust. And when you can build trust, you're building rapport. And when you're building rapport, now they can see that, maybe I should be working with this agent because they are gonna call out the goods and the bads. Make sense?
Make sure your seller's not recording.
Yeah, that's right.
Do it to somebody else's list.
Sucks. Yeah.
Good question.
Hi, I'm being super vulnerable here. So I've been an agent for a year, and I've worked with buyers, and I love working with buyers. I love helping people, and that's really been where I've been coming from as a teacher before being an agent. But I've realized that the overwhelm of the process, like say preparing them for situations with a tic-tac, sometimes I'm getting the surprises. And so the stress of kind of having the curveballs hit me and then trying to prepare them and wanting to absorb that shock, sometimes the shock is too much for me. So I've kind of gotten into a lot of self-wellness and self-care stuff recently. So if you can go back to your first 1 or 2 years as agents, if you can tell us how to deal with that stress for us, I think that might be helpful.
They're nodding their heads.
Yeah. So a lot of you guys are stress takers, huh?
Thank you for being vulnerable. It clearly
Yes.
resonated with everybody. Yeah.
Yeah.
No stupid questions, by the way, and I tell my clients that.
I think the biggest thing for you, and then I think a lot of agents, is to one, just know that you don't have to tell your clients right away what the issue is, okay? So you can take that second, that, half hour to an hour and be like, oh my God, what am I gonna do, right? That's okay. And as an educational background, I know that your job is to always have the answers, right? I come from the same background. And you're gonna have to understand that as you gain more experience, those solutions are gonna come a lot faster. And sometimes you don't even have to come up with them by yourself. You can call and brainstorm with a lender. You can call and brainstorm with your mentor or your business partner or even your brokerage, right? And you can bounce that idea. Sometimes my ideas come from my wife, right? Or my friend, or just a conversation. Like I had a conversation with Tina one time and I was like, how do you do X, Y, Z? And she's like, why are you trying to do it all by yourself? Why would you wear all the hats? And I'm like, ding, right?
So I was thinking about too, you're an educator. Did you know everything before you started educating? What did you have to do?
Learn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's sometimes it just takes time. Hang in there.
That's part of it.
Yeah.
Knowing who you can go to is the hugest part. For me, the first thing, I'd go to my wife. She's been in the industry forever. Okay, she's not available, she's on the phone, she's away. Who else can I call? I call another agent. At EXP, not at EXP, I role play to get comfortable with it. I was asked, what's your favorite script? I don't know. Unless I get prompted, then the script literally falls out of me. The whole point of scripting and role playing is to have the standard answers that every buyer has gone to school that they ask. And if something goes on, I had a seller literally shaking on the couch going, I'm gonna cancel the deal during the inspection. I'm like, okay, you know what, you already paid for it, why don't we just finish and see what the issues are? Went, talked to the inspector, how's it going? He's like, this is the cleanest house I've ever seen, including new builds. The guy here was amazing. Found out he was an engineer. Literally took care of everything. Called up the lender, I went, the guy's freaking out, he's gonna can the deal. Call him, walk him off the ledge. I went and found the inspector again, I told him the same thing. He goes, listen, if you don't buy this house, I will. It wasn't me talking the guy off the ledge. I had other people do it. So it's just like agent attraction, it's just like anything else. Use the people around you, we're here to help, and we're happy to.
All right, we've got time for one more. Thank you.
Okay, thanks so much.
We'll answer yours, but we're gonna let John go after her. So
I've been doing this for 30 years. I've never had a buyer broker agreement signed. I've never had to do one. I've never lost a buyer. Now we have to, and I can't get out of my head. I can't do it. So my question is, I heard what you said, send it to him. Do you send it just for that property and just for that day?
Yeah, the one I send is the EXP agreement, the 2-page one that works everywhere but Colorado.
But Colorado.
And that agreement, learn it inside and out, and it is cancelable. And what it says effectively is, if you don't write them a contract and get then they don't pay you. You know, so they could sign 20 with 20 different agents and be fine. So I would learn that contract inside and out. And then the second thing I would do to get over that deal in your head is shadow 3 or 4 with somebody else. Just like get with someone else who's on the phone, listen to some calls. You got to have a team leader, somebody in your area, someone in your upline who's good at it.
Minda's doing a buyer consultation course with EXP, and she's actually doing live presentations with real people. So it's not role play, it's
great.
real humans. So you can watch her walk through.
That'll help a lot.
And that starts November 14th.
Okay,
Cool.
and will you send it?
Buyer Mastery. Buyer Mastery with Minda Co. C-O-E. So yeah, that's great. You may leave, sir.
All right,
Run.
there
I
you
know you're on a schedule, so you did awesome. Like, give him a round of applause.
Enjoy.
We got one last question real quick, and I will
sorry, guys.
anticipate them.
All right, just real quick. I've only been in the industry for 4 months now.
Congratulations.
Thank you, I appreciate it. And I saw earlier when you asked like 3 years and under, a decent amount of people raised their hands. I just have a question about winning over like buyers to agents that are a lot more experienced than you and have a better reputation and stuff like that. If you had any advice for someone starting out trying to win those.
Go first.
I would say, first of all, get that mentality out of your head, okay? Because what you believe is what you're going to put out there, right? Again, it's confidence and the amount of value that you can bring. Now, one of the things that you can do to set them apart is you have all the time to service at a very high level. Where some of these agents, they're so busy that they do not give the correct amount of time needed for each of their clients. Does that sound fair? So right there, you have the advantage. You can fully understand. You can fully comprehend what it is that they're looking for. You can go and look at 10 homes a day or a week, however you may want to do. And so when a buyer comes up to you, they're like, hey, I want to look at 123 Main Street. Oh, do you? What is it that you're looking for? You can say, you know what? That house is not going to fit you. I've already seen it. It also smells like dog whatever, right? And the reason why it's not going to fit what you're looking for is because of X, Y, Z. Now you know the market better than them. Now you're fully listening, and now you're setting an example on why they should be working with you, right? The other thing that I'm going to say is start writing what sets you apart. So like I have a thing that I give to my clients, whether buyer or seller, right? On the 90 ways that I serve you. Now most agents are going to probably think of maybe 10 or 12. I have 90. Do you think that sets me apart?
I have 87. You win.
Right? So if you guys want that,
I was gonna say,
again,
maybe you could send it to
yeah,
him.
you guys can definitely send it to me.
do that.
Lonnie_Fisher_1 on IG. Okay? So
Find
that's
her
gonna
on
be the
Work
biggest. That's gonna be the biggest thing right there.
Okay.
Does that sound fair?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
So tying into that, I teach a class on this. It's now a 3-hour CE class in Colorado. I taught this for 4 years in the EXP University.
Is it recorded?
There's lots of recordings all throughout there.
There we go.
So here's one of the things. Do you know the age of the water heater on the third showing you're going to? Do you think you need to? So the whole point here is you're not going to know everything you need to know. And I don't care if you're brand new, just got your license yesterday, or if you're 23 years in the industry. I had a client ask me, how much will it cost to water the lawn here? I have no idea. I live in a townhome. By the way, it's Colorado. It'll probably cost as much to water it as it will to cut it. So what did I do? I called the listing agent. So the point is you don't need to know everything. You just need to know where to go to. I'm assuming you've got a mentor, right?
I'm in the process of joining.
Okay.
EXP, so I have not
But
got
your mentor and your sponsor are the first 2 people you call.
Okay.
Because you don't know where to go to get that information in many cases. So lean on them.
And do fast cap.
Definitely do fast cap.
Yes, for sure.
Fast cap is amazing. What were the stats out of fast cap? They're staggering.
Yeah, like a 3.8 or 3.9 If they actually did all the activities.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3.9 buyer contracts. Yeah, yeah. It's great.
So really will get you going fast.
Awesome.
Do the work.
Appreciate that.
All right, you guys, give these wonderful humans a round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Lonnie_Fisher_1, so LANI.